And good afternoon, LinkedIn. Hi, this is Steve Ferreira, CEO of Ocean Audit. I'm your host of OK Boomer Live, and you can also call me the lapel pin guy. We are styling the new OK Boomer TV logo, lapel pin. Soon to be a giveaway in my wildest dreams. We'll start remarketing those and putting those on hats and kind of doing the freight waves thing, right? Giving away hats. Um, it's really great to be here today. I want to talk about a great subject today. Is your data safe? And especially um, where I'm domiciled here in Hartford, Connecticut, there's a lot of nervous insurance agents and agencies watching this episode today because I got to tell you guys, it is really easy to pilfer ocean cargo. um, the amount of data that's out there in the wild, right, in the domain, public domain. Even industry titans like Amazon and Walmart and Target stores um, all have real challenges, privatizing the data and keeping it hidden from Wall Street, hedge funds, competitors and other actors. And when I say data, what do I mean, right? So obviously, ocean data is really a unique animal in the sense that everything that comes in or out of the country is recorded by U.S. Customs. And so it's not just some handy, dandy button you push and say, okay, I want to see everything that Target's doing, or I want to see a prototype on an electric car. By the way, disclaimer here. What's the word? No, it's like a hidden, plot that I'm revealing. So we will see a prototype on an electronic car today. I'll show you guys. Um, so I'm spoiler alert. So that's that's what I'm trying to get at today. And so anyway, there's not some nice tidy button you push and say, hey, I want to see what did Walmart do this week, or what's out of stock at Amazon, and how can I as a Target take advantage of what Amazon's out of stock in, and how can I manipulate my price so that I know Amazon's bringing in a ton of bookshelves or home desks. If I'm Target's merchandisers, how do I react to that? Well, clients use data very poorly. And, I've been working with these data sets for close to 35 years. And so for me, it's like my son playing the piano. It's so effortless to him. He hears the music. Well, hearing the data is a unique talent and gift that I have. And I want to certainly expand on that gift. And I want to help my clients and my logistics clients, my supply chain clients, my internal audit clients, my CFO clients um, do a better job with the stewardship of the data. Um, I'll tell a real brief story, then we'll just kind of kick off the presentation. So, I'm in the room with a Fortune 100 senior VP of logistics, and next to him is the Chief Information Security Officer. The senior VP of logistics is like, okay, Steve, what's the quantum of how much we can produce on refunds? And the CISO says, I don't care about refunds. I'm not comfortable that, brand X knows that, we have, 9,000 pieces of this coming in from here next week. I can't believe that data is out in the open. It's out in the wild. And so, you really kind of come in with like two different dichotomies, right? Two different points of view where CFOs don't want bad news. I have somebody that wrote a blurb years ago about my style, my approach, and the person wrote that gee, Steve Ferrer, you really like to kind of let CFOs know what's going on, and I'm not so sure that's the coolest thing with like logistics, because logistics is doing their thing, and then the CFO says, hey, how come our red widgets that are coming in from vendor XYZ are out in the public domain? So to me, it's like, if you're not doing your job well, you're not doing your job right. Logistics and supply chain and finance all have to cooperatively work together, and information security and internal audit, so that companies' data is protected, right? We got to firewall that down. and we got to lock that all in. So what you'll find fascinating today is so as I mentioned, I've been involved in this data stuff for years, right? So I mean, I've spent, I don't know, $100,000 over the years on fine tuning and working with the best data sets that I know. So I've spent a fortune, but over 30 years I've spent that much. So what's happened here is, and this is really the problem, is that the data doesn't get just taken from customs and put on a nice website that you can just pop in. There are very expensive data sets out there. I mean, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, $70,000 a year, depending on whether you're a patent attorney or a trade attorney or trade finance, or you can buy a lot of different data services, right? So I'm not here to say there's one data stream that's better than another when it comes to looking at competitive ocean data and data mining it. But what I am here to say, and what's shocking, and honestly, even shocking to me, is I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to demo this? Because I want to keep on. I want to protect the way that I handle data, right? So I don't want I don't want to go out and just say, okay, here's my systems, and here's how I manipulate it. That, I couldn't believe it. I found a public, something just on Google where it totally served the purpose of this demo today. I mean, there's a site you can go. There's many sites, unfortunately. Some of these are out of India and some out of China. I have no idea what these sites are, and I don't validate, or I'm not advocating any site that I show you today. But just something on Google, you can find so much out in terms of what Walmart's doing, or Target, or Kmart. Kmart. That shows you how old I am. The show is OK Boomer, so okay, I said Kmart. That tells you everything you need to know. But you are watching Steve Ferreira, CEO of Oceanata, and today's show is about ocean freight data, data security, and what you can do to protect your data from probing eyes. But yeah, just the fact that I'm going to show you something that's in the public domain, and you're not going to just believe how easy it is for people to manipulate and use your data. And before we get into that, I can't show you in this database that I'm going to talk about today on cargo theft, but the one thing about the database is that it provides everything except the kitchen sink, right? So it even provides in real time, let's say, I don't know, Nintendo Switch or Microsoft Xbox, Port of Long Beach, this container number, this seal number, this vessel, this voyage. So, I mean, I don't know much about cargo theft rings or insurance, but I mean, I do know that it takes some basic documents, a delivery order to pick up a container. I mean, the chances are is that a lot of the data is so quick and available that the data is actually available before the car goes out of the port. So you can see seal numbers, container numbers, product count, bill lading, everything except, where the slot position is, where the cargo is on the ground once it's offloaded off the vessel. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, is that enough to have a delivery order that you could doctor and say, okay, I want to go pick up this container, and it's full of, a $500,000 product. So it scares me a bit, and I think this is one of the reasons why clients need to look at privatizing the data as best as they can, and I think that is part and parcel. Now, I won't be showing you that part of the algorithms today and the data, the seal numbers, and more specifics. But I will show you, I will take you through what I have, and I think you'll find this, really fascinating. So let me see if I can share this screen with you. And I should be able to make this full screen. Oh, there we go. That looks real good. I think I'm going to leave Steve Ferreira, OK Boomer, out of the picture right now, and just let you have a full screen. And I'll switch back to my my cam in a second here. So I like the title, right? Wall Street loves seeing your data, so do your competitors. And again, that is a really big problem, is that a lot of competitors of that you work with are savvy in data analysis, and they can see on a quarter by quarter or month by month or day by day basis how much product velocity you're bringing in. And so one of the things that I think a lot of clients need to do, and I'm speaking to a large, very famous, I don't want to say the name right now because it's a private webinar, but I'm speaking to an extraordinarily powerful group next week about, post-COVID course corrections for the rest of the year. And, the topic is on recovery and looking at areas of COVID cash. Basically, looking under every rock for cash and cash savings. And this is kind of a flip side of it where, now I'm talking to you about how you can protect yourself. So, this webinar, this LinkedIn Live today is not an advertisement for Ocean Audit. I'm speaking to you from the aspect of helping your organizations improve and to prosper and to do something your competitors may not be doing. So what we're going to be talking about today is, I just made some notes and I wanted to take you through, how competitors can see out of stock replenishment items that are coming in as an example. That's a little bit more of a masterclass, but it can be done. NVOs can sabotage other NVOs, NACs. So NAC is a named account, and the data that you'll see today has named accounts, right? So if you're an NVO and you're looking at a named account, you know that that's a lower rate than an FAK rate. So what's to prohibit you to go to that named account and demarginalize the intent of the profit that the incumbent NVO is securing? So in other words, if the NVO is securing, I don't know, a $1,500 rate with that NAC, if you're a competing NVO and you see that NAC out there, why not go to that NAC and put pressure? You can put marginal pressure on your competitor that has the client in the first place. So it's a really, unique tool. And again, stuff that shouldn't be there, right? And so a lot of people are just making a lot of mistakes leaving this material unprotected. I talked about cargo pilferage, the seal numbers, and truck data. For example, you can kind of look at it and see, okay, hey, the Cal Cartage truck is here for this particular container, and it could be a truck yard, the container number. You kind of get where I'm coming from, right? You can put two and two together. There's the container number, there's where the truck location is. But Wall Street earning EPS predictions, earnings per share predictions. I like this one a lot because, you see a lot of, I'll put myself back in here just because I think it will be helpful. You see a lot of up and down nature of how customers' volumes are coming in. And it's easy to say, okay, wow, geez, last quarter, these widgets were really down, but this quarter, they're really booming. So it gives a lot of insight to Wall Street to say, wow, maybe they are on track. And so you're giving Wall Street a little bit more oomph, a little bit more data than they really need to know, or your CFO may want them to know. So, and again, conversely, if the import or export velocity is down, the same two-way street exists. You may not want Wall Street to see that loss or diminishment in volume. And I talked about other fun things, where I think I did a study last night where we can actually see a prototype of a new type of electric car coming into the country. You can secure email addresses, obviously factory and vendor names, trade finance data, get an insight on Christmas 2020, what's coming in, Black Friday, hot toys. One of the examples we'll do today is I've got young kids, 7 and 9 and 14, and I know one of the toys is this, I guess they call it Imagine Next DC Super Friends. Not even sure what it is, but it's on one of the hot toy lists for this year. And you can get a profile on, who has it in stock now, who's bringing it in heavy quantities. And it does make for a cascading story, right? If Target has that or Walmart has that, then obviously, they're getting more walk-in traffic right on, or you can anticipate that they have more walk-in traffic because they have the hottest toy. So it makes a lot of sense to use ocean freight very creatively. And as I said, I think I mentioned that it's easy to start to scope out as well. Some cargo is labeled Black Friday, so it enables you to get a heads up on your competitor in terms of what they might be bringing in for Black Friday. But one of my biggest ones that I like a lot, and again, I am not taking a position on whether this is a data leak or a issue with data security or any violation of privacy rules, but I'll take you through an Alibaba example where they appear to be exposing U.S. citizen personal addresses in the database. And again, it's Alibaba using a new concept of leveraging small parcels, de minimis, we call it, under $800 value, to move cargo into the U.S. free of charge by ocean, and then it gets remailed to the end user once the cargo arrives in the West Coast. The other issue that I thought about too is that in the data you can often see terms of sale, FOB, CIF, DDP, and whether you're old school or new school, you may say, well, if something's coming in prepaid, does that signify a weakness on the part of the importer, right? In other words, are they not sophisticated enough to convert the terms of sale to something more favorable that leverages their finances in a more astute way, as opposed to just taking a CIF price or even a DDP price where, you might have some baked in profit on the part of the seller. So I think that terms of sale, again, these are all, I'm stretching the imagination, right, in terms of how you guys can look at this. And so we have all these issues as a positive and negative, I guess, depending on what side of the fence you're on. Fortunately, when I look at this data lives in perpetuity. It goes all the way back, the ones I'm tracking, over 10 years. And so I actually use the data to help me make algorithmic big data decisions in terms of where errors exist in the ocean freight fabric and the structure of invoices. Because remember, it's possible to see everything except the invoice rate, but when you know that certain vessel voyages have errors and the percentage of errors on a given vessel voyage, and you're looking at this for 30 years like I am, you can start to make some really strong cases for doing a automated audit. So it's always, the data can be used for the good. It could be used for the financial world. It can be used for the bad in the pilferage and cargo theft insurance side. So on the plus side, some amazing new developments today that Customs and Border Patrol has put into play that I didn't see publicized very well. And it went live on May 22nd. And basically, it's a way to decouple yourself from the privacy and make from the public publishing of your data and to go private. And what's interesting about it is the new rule says that you can go private and make your data confidential in instead of 60 to 90 days in as little as 24 hours. And it's a new online system that applies to exporters and importers. And I should have said that vice versa, because I think most people were under the impression that the privacy rules only existed for importers, but it's not true. You can do the same thing if you're an exporter by blocking, your proprietary data. And I'm going to show you where that tool is and how to get to that tool. Most important thing is, don't pay a dime for it. It's free of charge. Don't let your broker charge you for it, although they can do it. They should just do it as a courtesy. And if you have any problems with anyone doing it, just come see me and I'll help you do it yourself. But just one real key quantum on that is that it's only good for a 2-year validity period. I know a lot of you guys know that, and it has to be renewed every 2 years. So you have to kind of do some kind of suspense system to monitor that. Otherwise, you'll start seeing your data in the open again, and no one really wants to do that. But I think it's one of the things that's really important about this is that an NVO or freight forwarder cannot make their own data private. And I know there was some controversy over this over the years with Flexport and others where NVOs were attempting to cloak the data, and that's not allowed. So the only ones that can cloak or hide the data are the beneficial cargo owners. Now, NVOs can block and hide the data of their named accounts, but that's another masterclass where it's a function of how they upload their manifest and shipping orders into the automated manifest system, ACE custom system. So that is available, and I'll show you that form and how to get to that new online system last. But without further ado, let me take you through, and I'm just trying to keep my eye on the prize here. This is a really interesting topic, so it's easy to run over. So those of you that have to bail, I totally get it. Those that don't, please stay with me, and if I run over, we run over. But I wanted to take you through some of the public stuff, right? Because as I said, what you're about to see now is totally in the public domain. It's nothing that I paid for. You could do it just as well as I could. Now, you'll see it on a limited basis because, we're using just free data for now. So here we go. Let me see if I can help you navigate through this. I found a site, and again, I just found it last night. I was trying to figure out how to present this to you guys, and let me share that screen with you. I found a site called, I think this one's called ImportKey.com. I never heard of it before. And so let me stop. I'm going to stop my video because I think it would be more attractive to have a bigger screen. There we go. That should be better. All right. So now we're in the this import key. And this is basically a download in real time and history of all the manifest data that I talked about before. So there you see the first, I think, real gem, right? Some would say it's kind of a breakthrough. So I put the word in prototype, and I can play with this in any way I want. And there you can see their arrival date, July 8th, 2020, right? So there's my point about cargo being out in the open. It just came in. You have the supplier in the column there, the buyer, Visteon Electronics, and the cargo description. It's a GAC motor vehicle prototype. Well, Visteon is doing the electronics for GAC, which is a Chinese electronic vehicle company, and they are outfitting this prototype. So this is a new entrance into the autonomous or electronic car. You can read more about GAC vehicles, on your own. But I love this because this shows me that they're working on this particular end of the prototype. One of the things that you guys will get a kick out of is if you put in, let's say, the word Wuhan, right? We all know about Wuhan. What's one of the things that's really interesting about Wuhan is that you can see cargo coming out of Wuhan. And actually, the one thing that I did last night, this must be new. Oh, you can see it's new data as of 7/9. But when I put in Wuhan, it actually came up with the medical stuff, the protective gowns and some protective gloves. Let me see if I could just kind of recreate that. I just thought it was really interesting that the Wuhan is the center of the COVID, and it's coming up with it's not letting me do that. Let me try another one I like is we had COVID-19. And this is interesting. You can see here there's a 7/8/2020 supplier in Honduras, buyer Parkdale Mills, boxes, apparel, medical gowns, COVID-19 program. So what's interesting is to see, and I don't know Parkdale at all, right? But I mean, you see very cutting edge, interesting information where, hey, they got a COVID-19 program. I like that. I want to know more about this Parkdale Mills because I never heard it. I never have heard about them. So you see where my trend's going with this. Um, the other thing that is interesting is for all you music fans, you have Rocket Cargo, which is a pretty famous, I believe, freight forwarder. They handles a lot of musical shows and entertainment in the entertainment business. I just thought this was really cool. You can see here in June they handled the band equipment for the Metallica show in Brazil. So a lot of really like who would ever think about that, right? A lot of So I mean, if I'm in the freight forwarding business, I'm not going to probably replace Rocket Cargo's business, but it's nice to know that there is probably a high grade market for following these shows around, and maybe some ancillary services that an ingenious freight forwarder can take advantage of. Another one that is really really dear and true to me, and I want to show you a little bit about Walmart. I don't know if I can reproduce this one the way that I'd like to for the show today. Let me see what I can do here to come up with some information on Walmart. Well, see, that's one of the things is that Walmart has done a good job trying to privatize the data, but it all depends on how it's described in the buyer field. You see Wall space Mart space Inc. If they had blocked out Walmart Inc. with a period, this wouldn't be appearing. This would not be appearing here. And then, one of the most interesting things is, you see the relationship with Schneider, where they do a lot of warehousing with Schneider. And so I did, some research on that. And, Schneider's lost a lot of Walmart business as Walmart goes, the Amazon model on privatizing and doing their own thing. So it's really interesting from the relationship of, I don't know, Schneider's stock, right? If Schneider handled, 80,000 containers last year, how much are they handling this year? And how does that impact their stock price? So I think that's one of the reasons, one of the interesting ideas how, Wall Street and hedge funds, look at the data. Let me give you the one of the cool examples, and this will probably be really unique for you. ASIN, right? So what is ASIN, and why should we care about that? I got a feeling this website's going to know we're on to them here. So this is what I like about it. This is where this is kind of the money shot, right? Because you see here in supplier and buyer in the top data, this arrived 7/9, so yesterday. So this is Amazon, right? So they did a good job blocking themselves out confidentially from reporting, so nobody knows this is Amazon. But one of the telltale problems that they didn't do is look inside the cargo description, and not only do you see the Amazon basics, right? So that's an Amazon shipment. But if you look at the entry below, this is probably either a fulfillment by Amazon shipment, or it could be Amazon just again using a NVO to shield the cargo. But you see in there the ASIN number, aluminum foil, invoice number, and then there's ASIN 2020-01095. Then you've got the order number. If I scroll down a little bit more, you can see here's a good example of a blank shipment, Tot Tutor Kids plastic table. And you can see in here the, right here, you wouldn't know this one was Amazon, right? If you look at this one here, Tot Tutors all the way down here, but they leave one revealing footprint, which, and again, if I do this, I'm going to look foolish if this comes up bad. But right here, you see B01KZT, this number here, hidden in the data. I'm going to copy that, and let me see if I can open up another window. I think that is the ASIN number, which will tell me more about that product and the quantities of that product. let me see. I'm doing it on another screen, and if I can get it to come up live. This is really fantastic news, guys. So you can see here, let's see here, back to the number, you see where I just highlighted it. And then when you come to the website for Amazon, let me stop the share on this one, and I'll share this new tab. And remember, all I did was I took the ASIN number from the manifest data, which is up here, and there you can see the actual product and the price points. And I can look at the container and I can figure out the FOB value of the container, and then I can get an idea of the annual FOB value of how much Amazon's importing. So it's a great tool for Wall Street to be able to get into the depths and breadths of the bowels of Amazon. So I thought that probably was one of the really important takeaways today. And really, Amazon shouldn't have that out there. They know better than to leave that ASIN footprint. And it's just a matter of being a bit quick, right? That the data is not consolidated, and you should never report that. That should have, let me just go back to that slide for a second. Let me go back to that data. That data should have been like this. I'll tell you exactly what they should have done. Let's see if I can share that again. It's so interesting. And here we go again. All right, good. So all this should have said was, toys or kitchenware, with the harmonized code, which I think is right here, 9403708015. So way too much information, Amazon. You got to work on that compliance-wise. And actually, oh, you know what, guys? This is actually one of my favorite ones. So this one down here, right below it, home cloud computing device, harmonized code 8517620090. And you see the ASIN number here. I won't take the time to put that up, but that's the Echo Dot. So this tells you that this is how they're kind of cloaking how many Echo Dots or Echo Alexas they're bringing in, or Amazon Alexas. So that's what that is. So I thought that was really fascinating, and we can do the same thing for Target. Target uses a model of DPCI, which is a department code for a product, and that's my dog Juno. If you can hear him barking in the background of the OK Boomer Studios here. By the way, you're watching Steve Ferreira, CEO of Ocean Audit, presenting on ocean freight data and data security on our show OK Boomer Live. Thanks for joining. So here you can see, oops, I didn't go to Target. Here's an example of Target. So this is actually a cool one, right? Because you can see there they did everything they could to block their name from it. But you can see their DPCI, and there's the DPCI number that Target uses exclusively. Another way to know it's Target is Target will hide their data from a buyer perspective, but they have their own brokerage department. So they have Target brokers. And so all one needs to know is the fact that they have Target brokers and as the notified party, and they'll hide everything else. So I'll show you an example of that. And again, this is all stuff Wall Street, hedge funds, competitors, and other actors use to help identify what's happening in the ocean trade, both inbound and outbound, as long as it's touching or coming into the U.S. It could even be coming into Canada through U.S. ports. So there's a lot of Canadian data as well. Has it finally given up on us? Let me try again here. Target brokers maybe. System might have said we've done too much searching and crashing out, but let me just give this a try here. Yeah, I guess it is. Let's see. Well, I think that, I did really want to take you to the Alibaba example. Holy cow. I think it's just saying that, this IP address has done too much too many searches for free. So let me see if we can take you through that. It's probably not going to let me. But I have some deep concerns about Alibaba for sure, because they should not be disclosing American citizen addresses out in the manifest system for anyone to look at. It's really could be a violation. Here you go. So yeah, you can see there supplier Alibaba, and then there's all the buyers in the U.S. And you can see there it's all safety masks, and it could be anything, home exercise equipment, but this is all masks. About 20 or 30,000 invoices in one single container. What a moneymaker. So there's all the addresses exposed. It's really just it's a problem. I don't think that's a good situation. That can't be a good situation. Let's see here. And I could put in the word trade finance, and we could do that. We could do, radioactive, uranium. Everything in your mind is moving here. That's possible. We could put in, as I mentioned, the word transload, right? It's really interesting. You see a transload, that typically means that cargo is moving, in container and then being trucked, or broken out. But it is interesting to see who the transload clients are, right? If you're a transloader, you would certainly want to know that and approach those clients. So again, the tool is it can be used for good, right? It can be used for not so good. But if I can't bring up the transload information, we'll switch out to the closing sentences, and there you can see. I won't stop to identify, we won't go into, seeing the details of the supplier and the importer, but you can see in the details of the description, cargo transload, and probably being handled at a UPS facility. But it's easy enough to find the importer of record because these are repeating type synergies in the databases, and so it's really a piece of cake. There you can see one of the interesting things I was trying to talk about before, the second entry here where my mouse is. Final destination California cartage, and then the address, right? So, again, if you're, this is a more of a malicious thing, but I mean, if this is full of gold or, Xboxes, maybe I have malicious intentions, the data shouldn't be so readily available to you. That's all I'm saying. And actually, that's a great segue into closing my structure of OK Boomer's episode today by going over to the solution that Customs has. And I'll switch screens now and allow you to see in closing where the opportunities are to really protect yourself. And so we can see that by looking here in the new trade blurb that Customs has put out. And this is a process where you can go in, you can see it's been updated really recently in May. And this allows you to click on a hyperlink here and go in and in 24 hours start to delist the cargo that's out in the wild that you have exposure to. And again, if you want to see if you have exposure, you can use the sites like I just mentioned, and that will help you to at least kind of piecemeal determine what the issues are. If you need more free consultative advice on what I'm seeing, certainly feel free to email me at stevef@oceanaudit.com, and I'll try to give you more information and be of assistance in any way I can. But I think that if you look at this new program that Customs has, it's very, very dynamic. And guys, I say it once and I say it forever. Your customs house brokers and freight forwarders, and NVOs should really be promoting this for you. It's in their own best interest to be customer facing on major issues like this. And I was actually surprised that they had implemented it. I'd seen a few broadcasts, I think from like Shapiro and CHB, or maybe Livingston. I can't remember who it is, but some brokers do a pretty good job just kind of putting it in their newsletter. But this is the type of thing where I think NVOs and the community needs to actually be customer facing and say, you know, hey, I work with Jim at logistics at ABC company, but what if I co-opt and work with Jim and his boss and his boss's boss and help them privatize the data? In some ways, that gives you more more cred, street cred, more credentials to upsell that client and to move more of your product into that client, because you're looking at the client's best interest and they perceive you as helping them with the data, as actually giving them cash, right? Because you're saying, wow, you're really saving them in some ways. Yeah, I'm looking at some of the comments. It's pretty cool. I appreciate everything that you guys think about this topic. I think this topic, in the way I described it, came across really, really slick. I would like to make it I try to make it part of my life's work to help importers and exporters privatize this data. The way I look at it is that the data has served me well. I can go to any client in the United States and I have a really great idea where they are refund-wise and where I should be tackling their problems, their pain points, as opposed to being an auditor with a pickup truck and a laptop, then goes in and says, hey, give me all your invoices. I can go in and, like a surgeon, basically laser tag and say, hey, okay, I want to look at this vendor, and this vendor for these years. And you come in and out and you make that transaction happen very quickly. Similar to what Customs is doing with the Privatization Act of your data, they're making it happen quickly. And I think that's the one thing that we as business people in COVID need. We're all disjointed. We're working from home, unique operating processes. We're really not hitting. We're hitting the big, important items, but we're not really peeking under the oil change and the brake pad change, meaning the corrective action that we really need to make our business stand out more and make it more efficient, more profitable. And in this case, to use that data wisely into our best advantages that we can, right? Because there's a million different ways to use it holistically. And obviously, the data that makes the insurance people here in Hartford, which is, I think, the insurance capital of the world, nervous. So I hope I've opened your eyes to some really new practice today and theories and reality, because everything I said today is happening to you right this second, whether you're Target, Walmart, Whole Foods, Amazon, or a mom and pop importer of 100 containers in Des Moines, Iowa. Your data is under review and it's exposed. And I want you to do what you think is best to fix it. And, for once, the government has come through with a tool that seems to be the right way to approach data security and data privatization. I should mention one last thing. I read a stat, and I think only out of the hundreds of thousands of importers and exporters, only 11,000 took advantage of this program last year. And for what it's worth, Customs is saying this is, how you have the tax forms and you say, well, by filling it out this way, you'll save 3.2 man hours. Customs did a little calculation and they figure this saves every importer and exporter about $300 in costs because of the way to do this electronically. It's much quicker than doing it, the old-fashioned way of letter writing and sending it in. So I don't know about that and efficiency, but I do know that it's an important topic, and I feel there's no one better in the United States to help lead you on this than myself as an expert, as a 40,000-hour expert on this. So please come to me. I'll sign off now. Steve Ferreira, OK Boomer Live, CEO Ocean Audit. Thank you so much for all the time and attention. It's been a great show. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see everyone in the comment section below. Cheers.